In this video, I'm going to use the residual earnings valuation model to value Nike with the information that we were given here. This is an example from Chapter 5, shown Table 5.2. So here's the information that we're given. We have earnings per share, dividends per share, book value per share. We are at the time 2010, this A stands for actual here, and we are estimating earnings, dividends, and book values from 2011 through 2015. One thing important to point out is that after 2015, we're going to assume that the company is going to reach growth that equals the GDP, the expected GDP growth, which is we're estimating 4%. So we're going to have constant growth after 2015 of 4%. And of course, we're going to use that to calculate the horizon or continuing value at 2015, the value of the firm for all periods after 2015. There was a typo here. The textbook uses the actual 9%. They say 10% right here. But I've crossed that out. We are actually using 9%. Remember that residual earnings, the valuation model, takes the company's earnings and subtracts out their required earnings given the size of the investment, beginning book value, and the required rate of return, which again we said is 9%. I'm going to work this out step by step. If you understood what we went through in class and how to edit example 1 to include the present value of the horizon or continuing value, you'll probably want to just work this out on your own and skip to the end and check your numbers. But the purpose of this video is to slowly and carefully go through step by step how we're calculating the firm's value using the residual earnings valuation model. So remember, if we're at 2010, our starting point, remember in our valuation, we're going to need this beginning book value at this point in time, 20.15. But right now what we want is the required return on future earnings. So our R is always 9% each and every year. You're probably wondering why I'm not doing this in Excel, which would be much, much faster, and that's exactly the reason. I will do this in Excel in the next video, but Excel goes very quick. Writing things out, I think, is the best way to pace myself, go slowly, and really explain step by step exactly what I'm doing. Alright, so we are getting to the dollar amount of the required return, R times beginning book value. Now looking at the beginning book value, remember the information that's shown here, this 23.28, that's considered the ending book value. So we want the beginning, which is the prior year's ending, so we are multiplying by 20.15. And I would like for you to work these out alongside me. Of course, I've worked these out already, but I am calculating them out here to give you guys some time to do it as well alongside me. Year 2, I'm going to take the prior year's ending book value, which is the current year's beginning book value, multiply it by 9% to get the required earnings given the required return of 9%. All right, now we have the dollar amount of our required earnings. Let's compare our actual earnings, or in this case, earnings per share. Earnings per share minus the required earnings per share that we just solved for here. So earnings per share we see in 2011 is $4.29. Just bringing this number down here. From that, I'm going to subtract what the required earnings are, given the level of investment and the required return. And this is going to give me the residual earnings. So if I take 4.29 minus 1.814, Residual earnings in 2011 is 2.476. This is residual earnings per share. And in the following year, $2,013. And finally getting to my last year. All right, now ask yourself, what's the next step? We've got residual earnings for each year, 2011 through 2015. Remember, we can't just add these up and add them to our beginning book value to get firm value. We need to find what these earnings, residual earnings per share amounts are in today's dollar terms. So, of course, we need the present value of these residual earnings. So what I'm going to do is take each of these numbers and discount them by 1 plus the required rate of return, 1.09, to the number of years in which we are discounting. So 2.476, 1.09. In today's dollar terms, this is worth 2.272. Let's discount that second cash flow. Alright, so I think at this point, rather than boring you with my calculations, I will allow you to pause this video if you would like to work on these calculations. And I will just simply put down the numbers when I worked this out earlier. Alright, so next year we have 2.26, 2.24, 2.218, 2.206. All right, so this is the present value of each individual cash flow. The sum of the present value, oh, I'm sorry, these are not cash flows, these are residual earnings per share. I need to add these all up to get this sum. So I'm going to add this, plus this, plus this. And this will work out to be $11.20. So remember, I'm trying to find the value of the firm using residual earnings. I'm going to start with the book value per share. I'm going to add to that the sum of the present value of residual earnings per share. But I'm not finished. This would only work if after 2015 we expect no more residual earnings from this firm. If that were the case, we would simply add up and that would be the value of the firm. That's not the case. After 2015 we assume constant growth of 4%. So I need to find the horizon value or continuing value. How do I do that? Well, remember the value of the horizon value, the value of the firm at 2015 is going to be equal to the next residual earnings. So the last residual earnings is 3.394. The next one, we need to multiply that times 1 plus the growth rate. Remember that growth rate is, the constant growth rate is 4%. Now I'm going to divide this by R minus G. Required return is 9%. Growth rate, again, 4%. This is going to work out to be 3.530 divided by 0.05. So we are saying that the value of the firm per share is 70.60, but that is at the end of 2015. We can't simply add that to our values here in 2010. We need to discount this. So I take this 70.60 and I discount it by 1 plus the required return, 0.09 to the n. And how many years do we have to go back? Well, remember, we're still valuing it as of 2015, so we need to go back 5 years. So 70.60 discounted at 9% for 5 years gives us the present value of the horizon value. So our horizon value is here, but we want to include the present value of the horizon value, which works out to be 45.89. Now we're ready to get the value of the equity. And we are going to add the present value of the horizon value, 45.89, the sum of the present value of the residual earnings, 11.2, and don't forget that last component, the current book value per share, 20.15. And we will get the value of the equity per share, 77.24. Of course, what we're doing with this is comparing it to the market price to decide if we think this firm is